For the last part of our Wyland-inspired ocean picture, we're going to use a couple different watercolor techniques to make your ocean look more alive. So, for example, we're going to create something called a wash. And what a wash is where you take your watercolor paint and you water it down so that it thins it out and it makes it lighter. So, in the ocean, which end is going to be the lighter end? Is it going to be the top or the bottom? If you said top, you're correct, because this is closer to where the sunlight is. So the farther down you go in the ocean, the darker things are going to be. So, for my purposes, I'm going to turn my picture upside down and get my blue wet. There's a lot of blue in the ocean. If you want to, you could also put in some purple streaks, and that would look nice. So I'm going to start out with my blue. I need to lay it on thicker than that. And since we use crayon or oil pastel, you don't have to be super careful when you're painting beside your objects as long as they are all colored in. So I'm doing a little layer of blue. I'm going to try to lay it on a little thicker. And add some purple to make it darker down there. And what we do is, with the blue that we have, or in my case blue violet, as we go higher up, we apply more water. And now you can see the change. So it's darker down low and it's lighter as I go up. Now I do need to be careful by my turtle friend, because I'm going to paint my turtle friend. And if you think things are getting too light too fast, you can always back up a little bit. And I can apply more blue down here. And then fade it out as I go up. I can paint right over my coral because I colored it all in. So now, the bottom part of my ocean is darker, the top part is lighter, and please, when you are painting something large like this, remember, your brush is meant to be like a ballerina, where she dances on her toes. Only the bristles should touch your paper. This metal part should never touch. So if you're mashing your brush down and pushing really hard, it's just going to scratch your paper. All those scratches will show on your painting and they will never go away. And if you have a lot of water on your page, then they can also end up tearing your paper. First it'll start to shred and you get little bumps on it, and then it rips. So don't push harder, because it won't do anything for you. More paint will not magically come out. Okay, so this part is really soaking wet. So I'm going to move to another location. So I want to avoid something called bleeding. So if I paint beside an area that's really wet, like if I painted my turtle right now, the color I add to my turtle can go out and spread into my water because it's still very, very wet. So I'm going to work in a slightly different location. Now I have some areas that they're going to need a little bit of texture. So what I will do for that, and it has to be done quickly, and one more time, this does not mean brush smashing. For my ocean floor, you want it to look rocky and sandy. So I'm going to paint my water color on, paint some brown on. And I'm doing it very fast before the paint can soak into the page. And then we take a little bit of salt and we sprinkle it on. What this does is the salt absorbs the paint and it'll leave little spots behind, because that's what we want to see, what the salt leaves behind when this is dry. This is not a sand painting. We are not completely coating this with a mountain of salt. On another note, we never eat art room salt, because a lot of hands have been in this cup and there's no way to sanitize it. So anywhere that it would make sense to add salt texture, you add it. Wouldn't make much sense in your water. Could make sense on your rocks. Definitely makes sense on your ocean floor. Another way washes are useful is they help you get lighter colors. For example, this rock, I want it to be gray. I don't have a gray in my tray. So we take some black, make a little puddle in your paint, put some black in your lid, because that's why it's there, and we add water. And yes, it's normal for the paint to bead up and not spread out. So I added a lot of water to this, and now when I apply it, ta-da, it is gray. And when you do your sky, it doesn't have to be just a blue sky. I wouldn't recommend nighttime. That wouldn't make sense, because if it's nighttime, we wouldn't see a whole lot down here. So you could use blues and purples. You can make it a sunset. Just make sure that this has had a chance to dry before you get to your sky. So I'm going to go for a bit of a sunset color. And the trick is you paint quickly enough that your colors will blend together and not look like stripes on a sweater. And last but not least, my little turtle needs some attention. So now that this has had a chance to dry, I can paint him too. And if you need to mix colors a little bit in your lid, like if he needs to be a greenish brown, mix some green and brown. If you want something to be yellow green, mix a little in yellow and green. Just do the mixing on your lid. And anywhere you have standing puddles, you want to take care of that by cleaning your brush, getting it dry, and then we can mop up your puddles. Because eventually that puddle is going to go somewhere, and most likely is going to spread out and get outside of the lines where you don't want it.